Anil Agrawal, the chairman of India's largest mining industry called Vedanta Resources Limited, has claimed that India's iron ore industry is dying. He tweeted the reasons behind the statement and asked that there is a need for reforms in the auction process. It sparked a conversation between him and Ministry of Mines. Ministry of Mines claimed that the statement itself is misleading and India's iron ore industries are doing good. In this video, we'll analyze the challenges which are associated with India's iron ore industry. We'll also understand what are the replies which are given and why Ministry of Mines is claiming that India's iron ore industries are in good condition. Hello everyone, welcome to UPSC Warriors by Unacademy. My name is Monica and let's begin with the lecture. So this was the chairman who made the statement and this was the highlight. Moving forward, we'll understand the process which he is claiming is inefficient and why the iron ore industry is facing such a challenge. So before that, to understand, he has given threefold reasons why the iron ore industry is not doing good. But for us to understand that better, we need some prerequisites. We need some information to understand that more efficiently. So we'll understand the process of obtaining mining lease. For iron ores, the minerals in India are owned either by state government or by central government. And industries usually obtain licenses to use or process those minerals. So for mining license, you need the lease of the mine which you are gonna process. So mining lease means extraction of minerals, the rights you get to extract minerals out of that land. So what is the process behind obtaining mining lease? We'll understand it here. So this process has been simplified in the year 2015 and made more transparent by an act which is Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Act 2015. The name of the act is Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Act and it was introduced in 2015. The act is an amendment of a previous act. So the act introduced the process of auction for obtaining mining lease. The process of introduction of auction is done to introduce transparency in the system. We wanted the system to have more transparency. Earlier there was favoritism. People used to allocate, the power holders used to allocate land to their favorite people. There was corruption also. But for that to not happen, the auction process was introduced. Now to understand the auction process, we need to understand some steps behind it. As I said, the minerals are owned by state or central government. So first of all, identification of blocks are done. Blocks are piece of land which have minerals in it. Usually state government identifies the blocks of land which have minerals. This block of land also include non-mineralized land. Now you must be wondering that for obtaining mining licenses, it must be with respect to minerals. What is the point of having non-mineralized land? Non-mineralized lands are used for ancillary activities, that is for storing the minerals obtained or for dumping the minerals. For extraction processes, there need to be some piece of land available. So this is also used and this is also has been given for a block. So first of all, state government or the central government identifies the block. The block contains minerals, mineralized land as well as non-mineralized land. We have understood why non-mineralized land is also included. Then the next step is detailed survey of the block of land. The state government usually does the detailed survey. It includes the amount of mineral which is available, expected amount of mineral which is available, types of minerals which are available on the land, so that it can decide for the price of the land which needs to be auctioned. So detailed survey including revenue survey is done on this land. Then the auction process begins. The auction is e-auction. That means an online platform is involved and bidders place their request on this portal itself. So e-auction process happens where all the interested candidates apply. The eligibility criteria have been mentioned beforehand by the state government as to who all can bid for this land. So e-auction eligibility request and criteria are mentioned, and state also announced reserve price. Now reserve price means the price below which the mine or the block of land can't be leased. It is the minimum price which needs to be bidded. Apart from it, the bidders can offer something else. So reserve price is the least price on which the land needs to be leased. So this happened. Then the next process is the actual bidding happens. Usually 2 rounds of bidding happens. In this, the bidders offered auction premium. We know that this amount which bidder offers needs to be more than reserve price. So auction premium is the percentage of revenue of minerals which can be obtained from this land. Let me explain this with an example. For instance, the bidder offers reserve price plus 20% of auction premium. So for the block of land to generate 100 rupees of iron, out of this 100 rupees of iron, 20 needs to be given to the government. This is what 20% of auction premium means. So reserve price is the least price which needs to be given. Apart from it, the bidders offer auction premium. Auction premium is based on the mineral which needs to be obtained from this block of land. So if 20% is the auction premium, that means that for every 100 rupees iron ore you extract from the land, 20 needs to be given to the government. This auction premium for iron ore industry is above 100%. Now we'll understand it further as to what 100% of auction premium means. 100% of auction premium means that for every 100 rupees iron you extract from this mine, you offer 100 rupees to the government or state government or central government. Now you must be wondering then what is the rationale behind offering 100% of auction premium, because in this way you are not saving anything. The logic behind this thing is, even if you offer 100% of the auction premium, you can still make profit. Let us understand by an example. This auction premium is offered on the price of mineral excluding the logistical prices. Logistical prices means loading, unloading and value addition of the minerals. After that you can obtain something more expensive. Let us take an example of steel. Fine, I'll do this here. Steel needs 15% of iron. Now, if you have taken a piece of land on 100% auction premium, and this land is for iron ore, so for every 100 rupees of iron you extract from it, you give all of it to central government, central or state government. This is what auction premium means. Now, if you are using this iron for processing and manufacturing of steel, so you only use 15% of iron and you make steel out of it. So this steel cost only includes 15% of iron, and the steel you sell in the market on a higher price, because this is an input. So 15% of iron plus value addition to make steel. So naturally the cost price of the selling price of steel is going to be more than the 15% cost of iron. So even if you offer all the price which is there for iron, you still make your profit by manufacturing steel out of it, because your steel uses only 15% of iron. Rest of the things you don't need to pay auction premium for it. This thing will not work if you are solely selling iron ore and not adding value to it. So that is how the industry operates, even after offering more than 100% of the auction premium. Now, speaking about the auction premiums, we need to know that increase in auction premium reduces the profit margins of the industry. That's why industries don't like to offer higher auction premiums. So in bidding process, industries or the bidders offer reserve price and auction premiums. We have understood the meaning of auction premium. Now, as it happens in all the auctions, the highest bidder wins. The highest bidder gets the mining lease to the highest bidder, offering the highest premium apart from the reserve price. So this is a simplified process of obtaining the mining lease. And now we'll try to understand the reasons why Anil Agrawal is saying that iron ore industry is in problem. So reasons, as I mentioned, are threefold. We'll understand them one by one. The first reason which he has mentioned is limited block on offer. I'll rub this because this won't be needed here. The first reason which we gave is the number of blocks on which auctions are happening are very limited. Why is that a problem? What happens is, if you put less number of blocks on auction and the demand for the blocks are more, then it naturally raises the price or the bidding which the blocks get. And naturally the auction premium is going to increase because for the same block of land, you will get larger number of bidders. So limited blocks on offer, what state government or central government is doing is they are putting very less number of blocks for the auction process, which naturally create demand and hence the auction premium increases. The first reason he gave is limited blocks on offer, not a large number of blocks are there for auction process. So he's saying that demand has been increased and supply has been reduced, which increases the bid price. So first reason is that. Hopefully we have understood it. The next reason is high auction premium. We know the concept of auction premium now. The definition is written over here. The auction premium refers to additional financial commitment that a bidder agrees to pay over and above a predetermined base price or reserve price. So auction premium is an additional financial commitment over reserve price. The reserve price is set by government or the auction authority. This we know. So the definition of auction premium is in addition to reserve price, whatever has been offered. It is usually represented in terms of percentage. This premium is typically expressed as a percentage of mineral revenue generated from mining operation. The auction premium is represented in percentage. Now, for iron ore industry, the auction premium is over 100%, which means that for every 100 rupees of iron has been extracted, more than that value has been returned to the government in charge. So that is why the concern is that Anil Agrawal asked to put a cap of 50% on this auction premium so that bidders can't offer more than that. But the ministry denied doing that because they mentioned the same example of steel. Because for every steel, you need 15 for some quantity of steel, you only need 15% of iron. So iron is used on iron is just 15% and only on iron you are paying the auction premium. So rest of the thing is your profit only. So that is why the ministry denied that it's not gonna put a cap of 50%. So high auction premiums are a challenge and more than 100% of auction premium is certainly a challenge. What if you are using the mine only for extraction of iron ore? You are not going to add any value to it. So in that case, it is a non-profitable thing for you. So the second reason was that, and we need to understand that auction premium is represented in terms of percentage. Third reason which he gave was slow mine operationalization. Let's understand this. Slow mine operationalization means that the mining operation has not started in the leased mine. The mine which has been leased, the mining operation or the process of mining has not been happening there. The reason for it is even after you getting the lease for the mining project, you need to get some clearances, for example environment clearances, forest clearances, etc. So for that clearances it's take around 5 to 7 years to get those clearances. So even after you win the lease, you have to wait for certain time to start the mining operation. So he's claiming that slow mine operationalization, that people who have won the bid and got the mining lease are still thinking of returning the block to the government because the project is unviable and the auction premium is very large, and they have realized that even if you extract iron from this mines, you need to pay something more to the government because of more than 100% of auction premiums. So slow mine operationalization is one of the reasons the mining process hasn't been started. Now let us understand what ministry replied to it. First of all, ministry pointed out the fact that iron ore industry is doing good, and it is shown by the fact that we are fulfilling our domestic requirement. Apart from it, we are exporting iron also. So iron ore is exported by India. 46 million tons of iron ore has been exported this year. So ministry said that iron ore industry is doing fine as it fulfills the demand, domestic demand, as well as it is exporting. So the iron ore industry's condition is good. The next thing is steel manufacturers with captive mines. The entire reason behind the challenges of iron ore industry was high auction premium. So ministry is addressing that by giving the example of steel manufacturers, because steel manufacturers with captive mines will understand this concept now, can absorb higher auction premiums through value addition, because steel manufacturers do value addition on the iron ore thing. Only 15% of iron is used, and on that value addition is done, and you make something of higher value out of it, and you are paying auction premium only on that 15%. So that is why, unlike companies operating non-captive mines, people who are using iron ore for production of steel are doing good. So we'll understand what captive mines means. Captive mines are mines which are used for exclusively by the industry for their own consumption. Here, for example, a steel manufacturing company obtain a captive mine. It means that all of the iron ore obtained from this mine will be used by the steel manufacturing company for its own purpose. It can't sell this iron ore to the market. If it's not selling iron ore to the market as it is, naturally the auction premium doesn't need to be up to doesn't need to be a burden on it. On the other hand, non-captive mines can sell the minerals to the market as well. So if you obtain an iron ore mine on a non-captive basis, then you can forward this. You can sell the minerals obtained from that mine to the market as it is without any value addition. So this is the difference. I'll show you the definition also in the next slide. Captive mines. These mines are owned by a company and the minerals produced are for the company's exclusive use. The minerals produced by the mine is for the exclusive use of a company. So in the previous example, if a steel manufacturing company has a captive mine, then only that company's purpose could be served through this mine. An iron ore mine leased for a steel plant is a captive mine. Non-captive mines, these mines can sell the minerals produced in addition to using them for their own consumption. Apart from their own consumption, the minerals obtained can be sold in the market. We understood this term, mining lease. Mining lease is the right to extract minerals. I have explained this in the first slide itself. Now we need to understand one more term, composite license. It is not used in our entire video, but I want you to understand the meaning of it. There are difference between mining lease and composite license. Mining license means you have right to mine. You can extract minerals. Composite license are done for the land for which government wants to, composite license. Two types of licenses, mining license and composite license. Mining license means right to extract minerals. Composite license means that in this you can mine, but before that you can do a survey also. At times the state government is not very sure or has not demarcated the minerals and the types of minerals or the quantity of mineral which is available on the land. So it gives the responsibility to private players as well, that you can undergo the survey and then afterwards you can do the mining. So composite license have the right to survey as well, and after that it can obtain for mining license. So that is the difference between mining license and composite license. Now I have an announcement to make. I have a news to share with you guys. An academy is offering UPSC CSE subscription at a very optimum price of 24,999. This price is very optimum because of the perks it is offering. The perks are unlimited access to all the batches, complete GS, CSAT and test series also, and it also includes mains test series with evaluation and one-on-one mentorship. In order to avail that, you can use my code, which is MM05, for maximum discount. Apart from it, we have three batches. First one is Liberty batch of 2026, which is an English batch. These batches are starting on October 11th. Another batch is Pathway batch for 2026 aspirants. It is a English batch. And then there is a Shikhar batch for Hindi medium students for Hindi batch. So these are the batches which we are offering, and these are the perks available. Complete prelims and mains preparation, unlimited access to all the batches, comprehensive study material and prelims and mains test series. Apart from it, you can get Iconic subscription as well, which has all the advantages including daily answer writing, PDFs of GS notes. You can ask doubts. We provide daily content. You can get practice questions as well. So these are some of the perks of Iconic subscription. So you can avail all of this with maximum discount by using my code, which is MM05. So with this, we have come to the end of this lecture. Hope you found this informative. And if that is the case, please like, share, subscribe to this channel. Thank you.